Welcome, 8th graders. Okay, I want you to think about your absolute favorite movie or book for just a second. You probably loved the thrilling action sequences, the hilarious dialogue, and the characters you felt like you actually knew in real life. But what happens if the ending just completely falls flat? Imagine reading a gripping mystery for 300 pages, only for the final chapter to reveal that the main character just wakes up and it was literally all a dream. It kind of ruins the entire experience, doesn't it? You feel cheated? Well, that's because endings matter. They matter a whole lot. Today, we're going to learn exactly how authors tie everything together and how you can become an absolute expert at spotting it. So let's dive right into this explainer on connecting conflict to resolution.
Here's a quick roadmap for today's lesson. First up, the end matters most. Second, finding the resolution. Third, 3 types of endings. Fourth, your turn to analyze. And finally, we'll wrap up with the godly learner philosophy.
All right, let's start with section 1. The end matters most. Why are resolutions the absolute key to understanding a story? To answer that, we can actually look to some incredible biblical wisdom. Ecclesiastes 7:8 tells us, the end of a matter is better than its beginning. I mean, think about that for a second. You can have a fantastic, explosive start to a 100-meter dash, right? But if you trip and don't actually cross the finish line, that amazing start doesn't really matter all that much. The ending ultimately shows us the final result and the true meaning of a situation. When a story reaches its conclusion, that's where the dust finally settles. The author is giving you their final word on the conflict, and we finally get to see what all that struggle, pain, and triumph was actually for. Resolutions carry incredible weight in literature for 4 main reasons. First off, they reveal what the characters have actually learned. If a character starts out as a total coward, the resolution shows us if they finally figured out how to be brave when it mattered most. Second, resolutions resolve the story's themes. If the overarching theme of a novel is honesty, the resolution is going to show us the ultimate reward for telling the truth, even when it's incredibly hard to do. Third, resolutions show us character growth, or sometimes their absolute failure to change. A character stubbornly refusing to grow up or change their ways, that serves as a powerful warning to us as readers. And finally, they leave us with real-life lessons. When we watch a character navigate reconciliation with an estranged friend, learn the art of compromise, or figure out how to gracefully move on from a terrible loss, we gain vital wisdom for our own real-life conflicts. So now that we know why they're so crucial, let's move right into section 2, finding the resolution or connecting the dots.
There is a really clear 3-step process for figuring this out when you're reading. Step 1, you have to identify the main conflict. You simply cannot find a resolution if you don't know what problem needed solving in the first place. Remember the types of conflict we've talked about. Is it character versus character versus nature, or maybe a deep internal character versus self? Pinpoint that exact struggle. Step 2, look closely at how that specific conflict is resolved. Did the character win the big game, or did they lose? Did their heart soften and change, or did they stubbornly stay exactly the same? And step 3, this is a big one, guys, ask yourself if the resolution feels earned. What does it mean for an ending to be earned? Well, imagine a character is failing their math class. An earned resolution is that character waking up early, studying late into the evening with a tutor, putting in the really hard work, and finally passing the exam. An unearned resolution is the teacher accidentally dropping their gradebook in a puddle and deciding to just give everyone an A. One makes total sense based on the character's struggles, the other is just dumb luck. If a character suddenly saves the day using a magical power they literally never trained for, that doesn't feel earned. A good resolution must make sense based on the events leading up to it.
But wait, what if the story just stops? We have all read books or watched movies that end on a massive, frustrating cliffhanger. It is so important to know that unresolved endings are completely valid. They are intentional choices made by the author. They aren't mistakes, and no, you didn't miss a hidden chapter. When an author leaves a conflict somewhat unsettled, they're doing it on purpose. Sometimes, sure, they're setting up a sequel, but very often they're doing it to invite you, the reader, into the story. They want to force you to answer the thematic question yourself. By leaving it open, the author keeps the story alive in your head long after you've closed the book. And that, in itself, is a very powerful type of resolution.
Let's make this super practical. In section 3, we are going to look at 3 types of endings through some worked examples.
Let's walk through 3 distinct examples. By treating each of these like a mini-story, you're going to see how different endings create completely different meanings. First up, a clear resolution. Imagine a story where the main conflict is 2 brothers whose family is totally divided by a bitter misunderstanding over an inheritance. The resolution? After years of silence, they finally sit down, share the truth, and reconcile. When we analyze that, we see it clearly shows the theme of honesty and forgiveness. It's neat, it's tidy, and it feels deeply satisfying because the problem was directly solved.
Now let's look at example 2, a tragic resolution. The conflict here is a brave hero trying to save their beloved city from a massive invading army. But the resolution is that the hero actually fails. They fall in battle and the city is breached. However, their ultimate sacrifice is so profound that it inspires the frightened townspeople to pick up swords and defend themselves. Our analysis here points to incredible themes of courage and legacy. The hero didn't win the physical fight, and they didn't survive, but they won the thematic battle by inspiring others. Finally, example 3 is the open ending. Imagine an incredibly talented artist facing a brutal internal conflict. They have to choose between a demanding, high-paying career in Paris or staying in their hometown to raise a family. The resolution? The book ends with the artist standing at the train station, ticket in hand, looking down the tracks. The choice is never revealed. As an analyst, you'd see that this invites the reader to deeply reflect on their own priorities. What would you do in that situation? That is the lasting power of an open ending.
All right, Section 4. It is officially your turn to step into the role of literary analyst.
Here is your homework assignment for your current assigned reading. I want you to go through these 5 steps, taking careful notes as you read the final chapters of your book. Number 1. Identify the main conflict in your story. Number 2. Explain exactly how it's resolved. Number 3. Describe whether that resolution is clear, tragic, or open-ended. Number 4. Connect that resolution to the story's overall theme. Basically, what is the author ultimately trying to teach us? And finally, number 5. Share your personal opinion. Was the resolution satisfying to you? Did it feel earned based on the character's journey? And remember, for this last step, there is absolutely no wrong opinion as long as you can back it up with solid evidence from the text. Be a critical thinker here. Don't just passively read, actively engage with the text.
As we wrap up today's lesson, let's look at Section 5, the Godly Learner Philosophy, where we bring this wisdom far beyond the classroom. Here at HeroesMart Academy, we believe deeply that intertwining biblical morality with your education is completely non-negotiable. Why? Well, because education without morality can actually hurt you, and it can deeply hurt the people around you. Think of the greatest villains in the comic books and stories we read, like Lex Luthor, right? They are often brilliant, highly educated, and incredibly capable people, but they totally lack a moral compass. Therefore, their immense intelligence just becomes destructive. Knowledge shouldn't just make you a more capable person. Your intelligence must be heavily paired with biblical morality. It has to help you make wise, God-honoring choices in absolutely everything you do, from how you treat your friends to how you handle conflicts in your own life.
This is beautifully captured in Romans 8:6-7, which teaches us that keeping the mind spiritually minded leads to life and peace. Analyzing literature isn't just about passing an English test, guys. It's an incredible tool to practice recognizing truth, wisdom, and morality in the real world. As you pursue academic excellence, as you learn to brilliantly analyze literature, understand complex themes, and write amazing essays, I want to heavily encourage you to keep your mind perfectly centered on God, on truth, and on wisdom. When your mind is governed by the Spirit, the knowledge you gain leads to a life of true peace and righteous choices.
We have spent all this time today talking about how fictional characters navigate conflict and reach their ultimate resolutions. But right now, you are the main character in the incredible, breathing narrative God has placed you in. You are going to face conflicts, painful misunderstandings, and some really, really hard choices. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. How will the choices you make today resolve the story God is writing in your life? Make those choices count, 8th graders. Keep pursuing wisdom, keep reading actively, and I'll see you in the next lesson.